Hi, my name is Miss Wozniak, and today I'm going to show you how to create a work of art out of your name.
The first thing you want to do is grab a piece of scrap paper because you're going to need to first figure out how to space out the letters in your name before you move on to the good watercolor paper. Your paper needs to be vertical in orientation. That means tall like a building, not wide like a bus. And you divide that paper into 3 sections using wavy lines. So a little above the middle of your paper, draw a wavy line across it, and then a little below the middle of your paper, draw another wavy line. Now you have 3 sections. Perfect. Next, you're going to write your name within those sections. Each letter you write needs to stretch all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom of that section. So tall, stretched letters. You could write your first and last name. You could write your first name and last initial. You could write a nickname you go by, or any version of your name that you'd like to turn into a work of art. The goal is to fill the space. My first name is Erin and my last name is Wozniak. So I put my first name in the top section, and then I divided my last name in half. So W-O-Z, I put that in the middle section, and then N-I-A-K I put in the bottom section. After you've figured out on scrap paper how you want to space out your name, go ahead and grab your good piece of watercolor paper. Now that we're working on the good paper, we want to practice the good habit of sketching lightly first. If you sketch very soft and light, it's easier to erase and make changes if you need to. I like the saying, sketch light until you know it's right, then go darker or trace with marker. Can you see how softly I'm sketching the stretched letters of my name? Remember to stretch those letters all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom of each section. Now I'm going to use time lapse to speed things up a bit so you can watch me sketch the rest of my name. Now, if you want to make your letters a little bit fancier, I'll show you how to. If I simply add a little curl to the end of each line in a letter, it makes it extra fancy. We are basically designing our own font. A font is a style of lettering. For example, block letters, bubble letters, or fancy swirly letters like I'm making can be seen in different styles of fonts. You can follow along with this fancy style, or you can give your letters a different style. It's up to you. Next, you'll take a thick Sharpie and trace over your pencil lines. Once you've traced over all the lines, including the 2 wavy lines and each letter, you can then erase any pencil lines that still show. Now it's time to add color. We are going to do a watercolor resist with oil pastels. First, we'll draw patterns in each space with oil pastels. Later, we'll add paint with watercolors over top. The oil in the oil pastels will resist or push away the watercolor paint. In other words, the watercolor paint won't cover the oil pastels. The oil pastel patterns we draw will show through the paint. So, you can see here, I've already started with some different patterns. Patterns are made by repeating things. You can see I've done stripes, dashed lines, polka dots, zigzags, swirls, X's, more stripes. Now I'm doing wavy lines, some more dashed lines. Oh, this is really important. I should have done this from the beginning. But when you're working with oil pastels, they can tend to get on the side of your hand. So I recommend getting a scrap piece of paper and keeping it under the hand that you draw with. I'm doing little polka dots now, some more stripes, Stripes are really easy, and as long as you're just like turning them different directions, so maybe in one space you do vertical stripes, and then in another space you do horizontal stripes, and then maybe you do diagonal stripes somewhere else, as long as you turn them different directions and use different colors, they'll look different. So don't be afraid to repeat the same patterns if you need to. And you can also get ideas for patterns by just simply looking around you. You might be even wearing a cool pattern. After you've drawn different patterns in each space, it's time to start painting with watercolors. You'll need to get your brush wet with clean water and mix the water into the paint. You want to use a lot of water to turn the paint into a liquid. One thing I like to do is outline a shape with color first and then paint inside the shape. It helps me stay in the lines. But here's the nice thing about watercolor paint. You can purposely allow colors to flow together and it still looks great. To really make your oil pastel patterns pop out, be sure to paint with a very different color of paint over top of them. For example, if I drew a light yellow pattern, I could really make it pop out by putting dark purple over top of it. Or if I drew a dark blue pattern, I could really make it pop out with a lighter, brighter color like orange over top of it. I hope you all have so much fun painting your names, and I can't wait to see how they turn out.